Hello everyone, this is my LiveWire, and today I'm testing the bokeh with the 17 to 70mm f2.8 to f4 lens. I've done this test with the Lumix 12 to 60mm f3.5 to 5.6 and the Sigma 30mm f1.4 lens already, and I'm gonna test it in the same way here and gonna slap this video on top of that video so you can see the comparison between all these three lenses. So right now I'm shooting at a 17mm, the widest, and I'm gonna get close to the subject and we'll see how close we can focus on it. Okay, this is the minimum focusing distance here, right here at 17mm. Is not super close, even though this is a kind of a macro lens. Alright, this is the best bokeh you can get. And as I move back, okay, just to give you an idea, when I move backwards, what kind of bokeh you get. And since it's a variable aperture, so I'm gonna switch shots after every time I switch focal length. Alright, I'm gonna move backwards again, a little bit more. Right now we're at f2. I will always use the widest aperture, obviously. Okay, we're back to the wall. This is what kind of bokeh you can get. Well, this is really far and there's no bokeh to speak of. Alright, now let's zoom in, and we're gonna turn up the f-stop as well. Alright, right now we're at this is about 25mm, so probably about 35mm full frame equivalent, I guess. I have to do the calculation later. And anyway, this is the minimum focusing distance, and this is the kind of bokeh you can get. Unfortunately, it's not very bright. Like the beautiful autumn tree leaves are gone already, they're all fallen, so you don't really see a nice color in the back like I did last video. So yeah, maybe it's not as, you know, pleasant to see this comparison video, but whatever. Let's move back. As I move back, I'm gonna adjust the focus. I'm using manual focus because, you know, adaptive lens is not really good to use autofocus in video. Alright, looks pretty nice. This is probably an arm's length. Like this is probably what you would see when you are vlogging, but you probably won't vlog with this focal length anyway. But just to give you an idea what kind of bokeh you get. Alright, I'm gonna move backwards a little bit more. Okay. And more. And more. Okay, this is about the furthest I go. Now let's zoom in a little bit more. Alright guys, right now we're at 35mm, which is probably about 50mm in full frame terms. Minimum focusing distance, and you can see the nice bokeh in the back. Really nice bokeh bar in the back. And depth of field is pretty shallow, so whenever I move a little bit, it's gonna go out of focus. And let's see, different part of the camera. What do you think of the bokeh? Now let's move backwards a little bit. Like this. Still looks very nice. Move a little bit more backwards. Okay. A bit more. More. So far so good. I think the bokeh looks really pleasant, and you will see the comparison. Direct comparison between this and the Lumix kit lens would be very interesting. I'm very interested in seeing that results, if how much better it is compared to the kit lens. After all, it is much faster lens. At f2 to f2.8, it's much faster than f3.5 to 5.6. Alright, this is this focal length. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. Alright guys, this is at 50mm, which is 70mm in full frame terms, and we're at f2.8 instead of f2 or 2.5, and yeah, the aperture is a little bit smaller at longer range, but as you can see, the compression makes the bokeh really nice and pleasant. A very nice big bokeh ball in the back. And again, very shallow depth of field, and every little slight movement will make the video go out of focus. Anyway, let's move backwards, and we're gonna adjust the focus a little bit more like this. A little bit more. Have the entire camera in focus in the shot. Alright, move a little bit more. Yeah, I do like the bokeh. It's really nice subject separation. It's very nice for product shots. Even at this distance, this is probably a meter away from the camera itself. A meter away. Let's move backwards a little bit more. And you probably won't be able to read the sign in the bottom right side. And with the kit lens, I remember you could read the sign even when you move backwards a little bit. So that's good news. Means the bokeh is good enough. The background is really blurred out. Okay. So with this kind of a little bit longer range, you can actually really separate the subject when you are far away from the subject. So that's the power of a longer focal length and a wider aperture. Alright, now let's go to the ultimate 70mm. Alright, this is at 70mm, probably about 100mm full frame equivalent. And unfortunately, you can't really see any bokeh bar in the back because it's so compressed, and it's a little bit shaky. Cameras, after all, is a little bit heavy. And sometimes when I move a little bit more heavily, you can see the vignetting from the top right corner because obviously the sensor is moving, so you can sometimes when it moves a lot, you can see the frame of the crop lens. Adapter is adapted lens. So, can be disturbing for you. Maybe some people don't like vignetting like that. It's a little bit heavy, especially when shooting photos, but in video it's not that severe. When shooting video, you crop the top and the bottom. Anyway, let's move backwards. Once again, very pleasant bokeh bar. I wish there were still the tree leaves in the back, so I can see really nice direct comparison. But we get what we get right now. That's all we can get for now. We don't have tree leaves, so we can't ask the trees to grow them back. Alright, move backwards. And once again, very pleasant and very beautiful bokeh. I like this look. I mean, it's not the creamiest, it's not the best in the world. It's not like a f2.8 in full frame term. It's probably f5.6 in full frame term, but it looks pretty good still. Move back a little bit more. This is probably out of the range of a vlogging selfie kind of a shot, so it's a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. When you extend your arm just a little bit further away, it's how far it is from the camera right now. Let's move backwards a little bit more. Still very nice subject separation. You can't really see what's going on exactly in the background, so that's nice. Backwards a little bit more. Alright, let's pay attention to the sign. I don't think you can read the sign very clearly. It means the blur is good. Okay. Backwards a little bit more. Yeah, this is how it looks. Alright, all the way to the back. Let's see how I find focus. What do you think? So at this distance, about 100mm full frame equivalent, you can do I don't know, portrait shot. Could be very nice. This is a portrait distance, and you can shoot vertically, a person standing there, and shoot portrait like this, or you can shoot very nice video that pick out the subject from the background. It's very nice. Alright, now I'm gonna focus on the background so you can see the difference between having the background in focus and not having them in focus. Anyway, this is f2.8 full frame equivalent f5.6. Back in focus. and put them all out of focus. That's how it looks like this. I'm gonna put my finger over here. It has pretty close focusing distance. So yeah, if you have a subject, have a subject this close, you will get incredible bokeh. Look at this. Let me focus a little bit further away. Here. Actually, let me put my watch over here so you can see a better example of the subject, and my finger is not pretty enough. So here we go. There's my watch. Okay, and that's it for this video, and thank you for watching. Subscribe for more. Bye. Hello everyone, this is my life for IR, and today we're doing a bokeh test with the GH5 and the kit lens Lumix 12 to 60mm f3.5 to 5.6, and then I'm going to test also the Sigma 30mm f1.4 lens. I'm going to shoot everything at wide open in video, and I'm going to shoot at very close distance and then move backwards so you can see the bokeh you can get when you get close to the subject, as well as the bokeh when you are shooting from a little bit far away. For example, when you're shooting portrait, you know how much bokeh you can get on a certain lens. So let's start. Right now we're at 12mm f3.5, so you can get really close up to the subject. It's a very nice advantage of GH5 Panasonic Micro Four Thirds system. It's a very close focusing distance. It's very handy when you're shooting product shot or shooting semi-macro shot. Anyway, let's move backwards. I'm gonna move away from the camera now. A bit more. So you can see the background is slowly getting into focus. The separation is diminished as I walk back. There's not much bokeh right now. Okay, now we're gonna zoom in to 18mm on a Lumix lens. This is about 35-36mm in full frame terms. So let's get a close focus. Let's focus. There you go. So this is the maximum bokeh you can get on 18mm, and I'm gonna back up. At 18mm, you probably get f4 on this lens. It's not very wide. Gonna back away a little bit more. This is probably where the distance of vlogging when you're holding a camera. Right away from your face, it's probably that distance. Okay, a little bit more. Focus on the camera. There you go. On the camera. Okay. All right. Gonna back up all the way here. I think it's focusing on the background. That would be a problem. Okay. Alright guys, so right now we're at 25mm, which is full frame equivalent of 50mm. By the way, the last shot at 18mm was f3.8, not f4. Oh my god, focus, doesn't focus. And right now we're at about 4.3 f-stop. So this is the minimum focus distance here. You can see the bokeh really nice. You get nice compression, you get nice bokeh. Blurry background, subject separation is great. Let's move backwards. Unfortunately, the autofocus is not that great. You could try to use manual focus next time. Okay. Remember, this is 25mm. Move back away a little bit more. Okay, you still have some kind of blurry background. Yeah, it's not much, but it is there. Okay, here. The subject separation is still there. At this focal length, you always have a little bit subject separation as long as the subject is in front of you. Yeah, but it's not impressive. It's really not impressive. You can see everything going on in the back. You can read the sign in the back very clearly. So, all right, guys. Now we're at 40mm and f5.4. Yes, f5.4, and this is as close as you can get. So at this point, the bokeh is just really creamy and delicious. Like, it's so soft and nice and smooth. There's no harshness. That's why I love using this lens to shoot, a product, holding up a lens up in the air and just shoot. With this lens, even though it's not super wide, it does create quite a bit of subject separation. It's a very pleasing look. So yeah, we can get even closer like this. Yeah, it's really close. All right, I'm gonna back up now. Still, you can see quite a bit of bokeh. Back up now, a little bit more. This is about arm's length. So where you would be, when you vlog with one hand, it's about the distance like that. Remember, it's at 5.4, 5.3-ish. Okay, back up more. So at this focal length, obviously you will have more subject separation. It's actually much easier for the camera to focus when you zoom in so much. It doesn't get distracted by the background. So that's great for my testing. Okay, at this distance, excuse me, this is the farthest distance I've tried so far, and still you can read the sign quite easily from behind. All right. Okay. Alright guys, so right now we're at 50mm f5.6. At this point, the minimum focus distance will be a little bit longer than when you are at 12mm. So right now we're a little bit farther away from the camera, from the subject. And you can see in the background, it's really smooth, beautiful bokeh. Yeah, I really love this lens. About, you can just get really close and get really nice shot. Alright, I'm gonna move backwards a little bit. Yeah, the bokeh is beautiful. A little bit more. Still very nice bokeh. At 50mm, you can, really magically turn the background into blurry stuff. Okay, cool. Move backwards more. This is probably where you will shoot a portrait shot, and a shoulder shot. A little bit more, because this is the maximum distance I go. And quite a bit of subject separation, definitely visible subject separation. It's a very nice and pleasing look. And you can still pick up the sign from behind. Alright, now let's move on to 60mm. Alright guys, this is the final test for the Lumix 12 to 60mm lens. Right now we're at 60mm at 5.6. This is the closest I can get without a focus, and it's very similar to 50mm. You get a very smooth background blur. Really love it. I love the look. I'm gonna back up. Nice look still. And here's about an arm's length. Beautiful bokeh. Back up more. More. here. It's losing focus. Okay. I love the focal range. 12 to 60. 60 is really long. 120 millimeter full frame equivalent. It's very convenient when you're shooting on the street, trying to pick out any subject and focus on that subject alone. It's really nice. And here you can see the sign in the back. It's actually a little bit blurred out, so it's much more difficult to read right now than before. That's it for this test for this lens. Now let's switch to the Sigma 30mm lens. We're gonna test with this 30mm lens and see that bokeh because it's at f1.4. It's a really wide aperture, so we're gonna see how that looks at different distance from the subject. All right, switch. Alright guys, this is the Sigma 30mm f1.4 lens. As you can see, the depth of field is really shallow. As I move just a little bit forward, the camera will be out of focus. And yeah, let's see if the autofocus can keep up with this test. Right now we're at minimum focus distance. It's about, let's say, 20 something centimeters. Well, on the lens it says 30 centimeters, but I think it's closer than that. Let's move away. So unfortunately it doesn't focus as close as the Lumix kit lens. As you can see here, it's losing focus again. I'm gonna just switch to manual focus because this is such a pain in the ass to use the autofocus. Okay, now we're at manual focus. This is the minimum focus distance physically. Okay, pretty much like I demonstrated before. As you can see, if I move in, forward and backwards a little bit, you can see the movement, the shift of the field depth of field. All right, now let's move backwards. Okay, trying to find focus here. Beautiful bokeh. Backwards more. Oh, by the way, an arm's length is about here. Yeah, this distance. Alright, let me just move back more. Nice and smooth bokeh. You can't read the sign from the back at all. It's completely blurred out. Okay, more. Yeah, still the sign is completely blurred out, so you can see the difference between f1.4 and for example f4 or f5.5-5.6. It's quite a big difference. Alright, all the way back now. All the way back. One moment, let me find a focus. Here we go. Okay, yeah, at this distance you get quite a bit of the subject separation. Is much greater bokeh than the kit lens, obviously, and it looks really nice and pleasing. So you can still pick out the subject from this distance. It's about 2 meters, maybe. Yeah, I would say it's about 2 meters. A little bit shorter than that, maybe. So yeah, this is like a portrait shoot distance, right? We're at the 30mm, which is 60mm full frame equivalent. Right, it's not amazingly close, but you know, it's a little bit closer than, a little bit tighter than the 50mm. So it does have a little bit of versatility of the 50mm, but then a little bit more telephoto, something in between. Okay. And that will be it. That's this test. And thank you for watching. And hopefully this video can be helpful for your purchase decision. as for what lens you're gonna get when you're considering the f-stops, especially for Micro Four Thirds system. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.